On this President's Day, we greet you from the capital of Connecticut. Tonight, inside the sold-out Hartford Civic Center, it's the start of another Big Monday presented by Bud Light. A crucial battle in the Big East between the defending national champion Connecticut Huskies and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. All a part of Judgment Week, which begins tonight, presented by Sharp. Connecticut trying to keep contact with Boston College at the top of the Big East standings. BC with a 2-game lead, 4 games left for each team, and Notre Dame at 8-5 trying to build its resume here tonight. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Sean McDonough with Jay Billis and Bill Raftery. Delighted to have you with us. Goal number 1 at the moment for Connecticut. Jim Calhoun told his team is to try to win the last 4 games of the season, put the pressure on Boston College, and perhaps they'll lose 2.
Well, they've been playing much better. They've won 5 of their last 6, the lone loss coming against the University of North Carolina, arguably the best team in the country. And it's been because of the outstanding play at the point of Marcus Williams, leading the Big East in Big East play and assists. And Charlie Villanueva has been on the receiving end of those. 17 of 29 in his last 3 games. He has been outstanding.
Meanwhile, Notre Dame seems to be in pretty good shape right now for a bid to the NCAA tournament. You'd have to think if they could sweep Connecticut, and they won the meeting earlier this season in South Bend, that might just solidify it.
And why not? They've been playing good basketball, inside game, outside game, running the floor. One thing they have is a leader who sets his teammates up, something you could learn from. And that's Chris Thomas, who gives it up, penetrates and finds. They need Turin Francis to play big and solid against this terrific front line of UConn.
In order to set up your teammates, you have to have the ball every now and then. The starting lineups are brought to you by Mazda for Notre Dame. Chris Thomas and Chris Quinn with Colin Falls, Jordan Cadet, and Turin Francis. Marcus Williams, outstanding lately, as Jay mentioned, with Denham Brown, the talented freshman Rudy Gay, Charlie Villanueva, and Josh Boone. That's a great front line for Connecticut for much of the year, but in the first meeting, Notre Dame had the edge inside. Villanueva and Boone trying to change that this time around. Pat Driscoll will throw the ball in the air. The other officials are Carl Hess and Ed Corbett. And Rudy Gay controlled the tip for Connecticut, dressed in white.
And Sean McDonough and Jay Billis, the Irish go. Get him in.
And immediately going to post up Denham Brown. He's got the smaller Chris Quinn on him, and he wants to try to drive him if he can.
Brown's been hot lately. He misses his first shot. Boone and Francis hit the floor, and the foul is against Notre Dame. Jim Calhoun looking for his 450th victory in this, his 19th season as head coach of Connecticut. It's just announced over the weekend that he is, for the 2nd year in a row, a finalist for induction into the Basketball Hall of Fame. After the miss, it's Chris Thomas, the all-time assist leader for Notre Dame.
Well, I watched a good bit of Notre Dame's warm-up, and Chris Thomas was as bouncy and active as I've seen him in a long time.
Well, he's done a nice job finding people on the dribble drive, as have Falls and Quinn.
Now Francis, playing with the quick foul, gets called for the travel as he tried to turn the corner and go around Josh Boone.
There is something about these Connecticut uniforms that gets Turin Francis going. It's the equivalent of a bull seeing red. He always seems to play well against UConn.
New England, I think. He's got family here. Had them up at Providence as well.
We mentioned the edge inside for Notre Dame in the meeting in late January. A 4-point Notre Dame win. Villanueva scores. In that game, Notre Dame outscored Connecticut in the paint 38-20. And Mike Bray told us this morning it was Francis who challenged his teammates, particularly the inside players. He said, well, all we hear about is Connecticut's big front line. Let's go out and hold our own and then some against them.
I think UConn has come along as well, though, Sean, the last week or 2. They seem to have found their stride, even though Anderson is not here. A lot of people have stepped up.
Rashawn Anderson out of action again tonight with an infection from which he is recovering. He was released from the hospital and attended the Huskies shoot-around this morning. Just 2-0 in favor of Connecticut. Williams the miss and Francis the rebound.
You really got to match up in the early as Thomas finds the wing people. And not a good foul here by Villanueva.
Charlie Villanueva, the foul for Connecticut. Mike Bray in his 5th season. 101 wins at Notre Dame. And 200 now in his career. And that 200th victory, including the 99 he had at Delaware. So the victory Saturday at Providence. Just another 1-point game for the Irish, and they were on the winning end. Colin Falls, a deep 3.
Doesn't need a whole lot of space, does he?
He sure delivers quickly.
He's been in a shooting slump lately, but nails the first from outside tonight. Hilton Armstrong has come in for Villanueva, who was yanked by Coach Calhoun after the quick foul.
And Rudy Gay with not a good entry pass. Very tough to trap for Boone. And they got the nickel dimer by Armstrong.
Colin Falls has a really quick trigger. Nice little screen by Jordan Cornette. Rudy Gay having to take a longer path around, and when you allow him to get his feet set, that is absolutely perfect. Look, he never takes his eye off the rim, even though he's got a bigger and more athletic defender flying at him.
Francis the miss after the foul a moment ago on Hilton Armstrong. Falls was 6 for 28 in the previous 3 games from three-point range.
Marcus Williams does a nice job shedding people.
Chris Quinn. Three-point miss, finally controlled by Marcus Williams. He runs with Denham Brown 2-on-1.
Pretty look.
And a foul on Falls. He'll make Denham Brown earn the 2 at the free throw line.
Marcus Williams plays old-fashioned, Jay. He really has a nice feel and pace. You got offended today when he said there's that L.A. demeanor, just laid back, but a wonderful old-time bounce pass and a patience under the rim.
Well, he made Cornette play him before he dropped it off. A lot of point guards might have passed it a little bit earlier, but that would have been too early. And Marcus Williams has a unique ability to see the floor, and that is why he is leading the Big East in assists right now in Big East play.
Brown missed the first free throw. He's a good foul shooter, 80%. We saw Ryan Thompson, who's seeing more playing time lately, the junior from Australia, who's appeared in only 8 games all season long, but this will make 3 straight games with an appearance now for Thompson, who's a good outside shooter.
Yeah, he can stroke it, but Gay made a bad pass to the post and then got lost on that screen in.
So he got the hook from Coach Calhoun.
Nice job spacing by Francis.
Francis had an open shot from the elbow and passed it up. Now he's one-on-one with Armstrong. Quinn with the shot clock at 6. And the rebound by Josh Boone, who averages 9 rebounds per game.
Denham Brown very fortunate there, got caught in no man's land on the help.
Don't help off of Quinn or Falls.
Poor shooting on both sides. Notre Dame 1 for 5 at the start. Connecticut 1 for 4. Armstrong improves the percentage.
You notice the strength of Williams, though, how he legally discards people. Set that play up.
Oh, he bumped Thomas right under the basket from about the free throw line.
Now, they were talking how solid he is, about 200 pounds.
Nice help by Hilton Armstrong.
Jordan Cornette left open for 3. And the rebound of Marcus Williams.
Nice post up by Boone.
His jump hook goes, and you can see the intensity on the face of Boone and Villanueva. The inside players talking in the paper here in Hartford this morning about what happened the last time these 2 teams met. Corinne Francis quoted as saying that he thought they were big but skinny and not particularly strong inside. Mike Bray said he really didn't think Francis said that. Sometimes the media can lead you into saying things that you really didn't mean to say.
What Mike was trying to say is he shouldn't have said it.
Francis fouled and a chance for 3. The last year, Notre Dame was left on the outside of the bubble looking in at the tournament field. Will they make it into the field of 65 this year? Back in downtown Hartford, where earlier today we asked Mike Bray, does he pay attention to bubble talk?
I pay a lot of attention to it. I try to get our players not to pay as much, but I think that's hard to do in this day and time because there's bubble talk, who's in, who's out, really every day now. So I try and give them an update. What I've tried to get them to concentrate on is getting to a winning record in league play, which is a huge plus on your tournament resume.
And there is the resume, their RPI 40 right now. They do pay attention to it. Sean Carney, one of the outstanding assistants at Notre Dame, handed us a sheet today that notes that they've played 10 games against teams in the top 50 in the RPI. That's as many as anybody else in the country. Syracuse and Cincinnati have also played 10.
Well, the measure is, after they put in the 31 automatic qualifiers, is Notre Dame one of the 34 best teams in the country remaining?
Denham Brown buries a 3.
He's been playing well, in better shape. Hit the weight room. They say he's been industrious. His work ethic has really stepped up.
He's been in double figures in 6 of the last 7, and there's Chris Thomas for 3. Notre Dame makes 9 threes a game. That's the most in the Big East.
And Thomas in warm-ups shot the ball extraordinarily well. He was finding nothing but net on his perimeter jumper.
And you mentioned his bounce. He was dunking the ball, bouncing and dunking.
He looked great. Got away with a hook there.
I know you guys feel that perhaps he hasn't had as much bounce and lift in the shot since he had the knee problems a year ago.
Yeah, he had microfracture surgery. You can see the help out by Villanueva, not quite long enough to stop Chris Thomas from pulling the trigger. And Thomas, while he is not a great shooter, he is a streaky shooter. And I'll tell you what, this kid hits big shots. That shot he hit against Villanova earlier this year, absolutely spectacular.
You know, you mentioned Villanueva with this show not long enough. That's twice now they've done a good job on simple exchanges on the perimeter. It's a guard-oriented team, and I think the big decision for Jim Calhoun, Jay, is where they double. Is it off the small forward? Is it off Thomas? There's a lot of guys that can bite you. That's why Francis becomes so important.
Well, I would not double off any of these three-point shooters. I'd rather have them a two-point shooting team and find out, can they make enough twos to beat you?
1 out of 2 from the line for Villanueva after the foul by Lattimore. Wow. Thomas gets another one to bounce in.
Pull-up jumper after the deep threat.
He has 5. He has 2,114 career points now, 3rd all-time at Notre Dame. Marcus Williams answers.
A little lingerie on the deck with that head and shoulder.
And boy, does that shot look better. He was a sloppy shooter earlier this year, but he's really tightened up that stroke.
He's up to 8 points per game. Coming off a nice week, 11 points, 9 assists Saturday against Rutgers, and 15 and 13 against Providence.
Jay has a great ability. That's a nice-looking crossover. Now, you really shouldn't go for it because he doesn't favor the right as much as the left, but he gets people to bite, but he's got great balance, and he can blow by. And now, as you noted, shooting the ball beautifully.
Those are the numbers in the 2 games we mentioned against Rutgers and Providence. UConn hammered Rutgers in New Jersey this weekend. Nice move by Lattimore. And in the game prior to that against North Carolina, Marcus Williams had 18 points here at the Civic Center in their loss to the Tar Heels.
Boy, how bad was that post defense by Charlie Villanueva? He gave him the baseline, and Lattimore didn't take it. And then he left his feet on that up and under move. Make him shoot over.
Nice hands by Quinn. Remember I asked Jim Calhoun today about the shot blocking? You know, sometimes it victimizes you.
Also, when you try to block every shot, sometimes you don't play fundamentally good defense.
Basically, yes.
Ed Nelson rebounded the miss. Nelson with Rudy Gay back in there. Villanueva, Thompson, and Marcus Williams. And the foul is on Rick Cornett, his first. Big Monday continues as we start Judgment Week, presented by Sharp. Kansas and Oklahoma. All of a sudden, the Jayhawks have dropped a couple in a row. They're at 9 Eastern time tonight in Norman, then San Diego State and Wyoming. Out west, Judgment Week presented by Sharp on ESPN.
Nice play.
And the finish, Villanueva. Beautiful pass underneath. And the finish by Antonio Kellogg, the freshman guard.
He sees things. They worked on that out of bounds. It wasn't a screen. The inbounder just stepped in. Great find.
Jim Calhoun's played 9 players already. Cornett, the little jump hook, and he's an emerging offensive presence. He had a double-double in their win Saturday at Providence. 14 points and 14 rebounds. His first career double-double.
A little kiss jumper.
A little 2-3 zone here by Notre Dame.
Well, I think that's what they were on in the out of bounds, and it hurt them.
Denham Brown, that's a long 2-point field goal for the Canadian from Toronto. He has 6 points.
This is where he can be tough if he turns the corner, Thomas, and finds some people. Everybody stayed at home. Connecticut, one of those teams in the country that loves to score on inbounds, and good teams usually do. And just to step in, and I believe the zone called the really
that looked like man.
Fell asleep, though. Nobody was on the inbounder.
Rudy Gay knocks the ball out of bounds. 17 to shoot for the Irish. Thomas shut off in the lane by Kellogg.
Nice reset.
Lattimore and Boone too much leaning on him. He got away with it for a while, but finally Pat Driscoll had seen enough.
Well, he'd done his job. He'd pushed him off the lane, and he had Lattimore turning to the baseline side really for a turnaround jumper. He just leaned into him with a forearm.
First foul on Boone, the 5th on the Huskies here in the first half.
Nice out of bounds play again. Screen down on Thomas, who had taken it out.
Jumper was long from Thomas. Kellogg, tough layup, and it goes. Antonio Kellogg, the freshman from Oakland, who averages 3 points per game, has 4 off the bench. Falls the quick response.
Nice screen down, and once again, they're not doing a good job communicating that time that Brown got caught.
Well, he did a great job of setting up his cut.
Villanueva from downtown. It's just his 3rd three of the year.
It's good Charlie made that.
He's been hot lately, at least 21 points in 3 of the last 4 games. Falls had trouble with the dribble in the lane, the held ball. It'll go back to Notre Dame after a media timeout. The 3 ball by Charlie Villanueva gives Connecticut a 4-point lead. 11-12 to go in the first half in downtown Hartford. Well, wonderful sight for the Huskies today during their shoot-around this afternoon here at the Civic Center. Rashad Anderson, who's been hospitalized for a week with a very serious infection and has lost about 20 pounds. He's on the road to recovery. They're hoping he'll be back before the end of the year, and it was obvious in the look on his teammates' faces and in the emotion of Coach Calhoun. They were delighted to see him. We talked to him about coming back. He said, I'm just happy I have another chance at a life. It was very scary for a while as the infection traveled around his body.
I think the hugs and emotion, as you noted, I loved him going right out and taking a shot. Jay was ill once. He came back. He went and got a rebound.
Don't want a loose ball.
Kids want to play, and that's what it's all about, though. Those good feelings, and that's part of the success here for Jim Calhoun and company.
And even though he's been ill, his teammates have been busting his chops relentlessly. They gave him a ball and said, you don't pass it, we'll never see this again.
Colin Falls rattles into 3, so his brief shooting slump appears to be over. He has 9 already. And 3 for 3 from beyond the arc. Notre Dame within 1 nearly midway through the first half.
You just can't leave him, and you can't leave Quinn.
Villanueva miss, and Francis controls the rebound.
And Mike, they hope to get rebounds in this 2-3 zone. It can be dangerous, though.
And UConn does a pretty good job of attacking zones. They attack Syracuse very effectively.
And Providence, too.
Falls feeling it now. That one off the mark. Jordan Cornette, the hustle rebound. Falls says, I'll try a rare 2. And it's corralled by Rudy Gay. Connecticut has made 8 of its last 10 shots, but the lead only 1. Williams. He's out there with Gay, Villanueva, Denham Brown, and Boone. And Villanueva had it blocked by Francis. Omari Israel hits the floor. Colin Falls asking for a timeout. But the held ball called first, and it'll go to Connecticut.
How about the great hesitation move by Marcus Williams before he dumped that ball off? That is beautiful, and what a spectacular block. A little bit of arm along with the leather. But that's a beautiful pass. Almost a no-look, but he knew exactly where Villanueva was all the time.
Coach Calhoun thought that was a foul on Francis. Tomorrow night, ESPN and ESPN2 offer up 2 more games at 7 Eastern. Purdue and Indiana, a great in-state rivalry. Then Texas and Texas Tech is another. That game is available in high definition on ESPN2 HD. Judgment Week presented by Sharp on ESPN and ESPN2.
And I'll be really interested to watch that Texas Tech game, not just because both teams have been playing well, but just to judge for myself how Texas should be judged. I think Texas is a team that is worthy of the NCAA tournament, whether P.J. Tucker is in their lineup or not.
Well, apparently they gave Notre Dame the timeout before the held ball. One official called held ball, the other signaled timeout. So Notre Dame has possession, and Francis traveled.
You notice how easy it is to pass the ball to Francis with the ability on the perimeter. No question about the walk, but Gay is hugging Falls. All the good shooters. Look at that. That's a 15-foot pass, plus not a good denial by Boone.
Well, in the first meeting, the 78-74 Notre Dame win in South Bend. Lattimore and Francis combined for 31 and 16. There's Villanueva with a chance for three off another beautiful pass. And inside in that first game, just 16 points and 9 rebounds combined for Villanueva and Boone. So you can tell that Charlie and Josh are determined to not have it be that way tonight.
What a spectacular pass.
Incredible. They got to take him to dinner. He's been doing that the last couple of weeks, Marcus. Off the dribble, one-handed J, or a baseball pass without dribbling. He decimates zones.
You know, the more I watch him, the more I can't name you two better passers in the country than him.
Well, I would agree with you. He's just jumped out at people, including Jim Calhoun, who just lets him go.
Foul on Colin Falls is his second. Villanueva, the three-point play, the lead back to 4 for Connecticut, nearing 9 minutes left in the first half. Chris Quinn. Falls is wide open. A rare miss when he has that kind of a look at it. Boone the rebound. Williams the penetration.
There's that right hand. He doesn't do it often, but when he does, he can blow by and get to the tin.
It's not the speed, it's the hesitation. And Chris Thomas, that's where I think that knee injury really has affected him. He has a hard time staying in front of people now.
This is the largest lead for either team with 8.5 left. Talk about Connecticut wanting to turn the tables in the paint. Badly outscored last time, nearly 2-1. Tonight it's 14-4 points in the paint in favor of Connecticut. Quinn, the runner.
He's gotten better at that. Really has a good feel around the rim to run out here.
And Boone, an air ball as Francis contested, and a held ball. Notre Dame bench thought Falls was fouled on the reach around, but it's just a tie-up, and Connecticut plays it on the arrow.
Every time you see this young guy, Jay, he does something different. That time the little right hand puts it on the deck. Always good vision in case somebody shows, and the inability to contain is very important for Notre Dame.
Well, it's just great change of pace, change of direction.
Connecticut again scoring on the inbounds play. Denham Brown, the jumper. He has 8. Connecticut shooting 63% for the half and leading by 6.
Boy, is he playing with confidence even though Rashad Anderson is not in the lineup. Denham Brown has been terrific over his last 7 or 8 games.
Jim Calhoun saying he thinks Brown is more confident because he doesn't look over the shoulder after a miss when Anderson's on the bench available to come in and take his place.
Well, he does have some people over there.
Marcus Williams the miss. It got batted around to Jordan Cornette.
Yeah, but even though Anderson's not there, heck, if he makes a mistake, Calhoun will put a manager in for him.
The runner by Thomas. Here's Williams. Quinn the defender. And a layup by Williams.
What a ball fake, huh?
We're seeing the emergence of a big-time point guard right here.
Well, we talked to Jim Calhoun this morning. He said, you want to know why we're playing better? It's very simple. Marcus Williams. He has really emerged. And we're seeing the continuation of the rapid maturation process in Williams here tonight.
What a beautiful fake, and just completely in control the whole time. The change of pace, the change of direction that he's shown all game long, the hesitation moves, and constantly the lefty in control. And you know that he is mentally tough because not only Jim Calhoun but also Tom Moore told us today that those coaches are on him constantly.
And he always seems to respond, even though he rebels against it from time to time.
16 assists in the first meeting. That's the most ever by a Connecticut player in a Big East game, and the third highest assist total in a Big East game of all time. Only Sherman Douglas and Pearl Washington ever had more assists in a Big East game.
I've got a comparison. I don't know if you'll buy in. Lenny Wilkins. Under control. He's from New York, by the way, so it's not the LA laid-back attitude. But Marcus very similar in his ability to get between defenders and find.
Well, Jay and I would be tempted to agree or disagree if Lenny Wilkins played before we were born. Or after we were born, I should say. Lattimore scores inside.
I guess your father never took it again.
Is there anybody in the last 50 years who we remind you of?
I thought
Tiny Archibald?
Okay. Are you going to bring up Hank Lucetti next?
Look at this blow by, huh?
Yeah. And he makes the short little runner in the lane to push the lead back up to 8. 6.5 to go in the half.
Guys are getting so good not using the screen, using that crossover.
This is the end of a tough stretch on the road for Notre Dame. 7 of 10 games away from South Bend. They'll play their last 3 all at home. Thomas, a tough shot. Lattimore could not save it. He was on the end line.
Well, knowing how to play and finding people, disdain the pick, finish, little touch, the little fellow doing everything they need.
Welcome back to the start of Big Monday, part of Judgment Week presented by Sharp. Of course, the members of the NCAA Selection Committee already forming their judgments on these potential entrants into the field of 65, and Connecticut looks to be in great shape. Notre Dame perhaps on the bubble or better right now.
Well, Marcus Williams is not only making this team right now an NCAA tournament team, but a team you wouldn't want to face in the tournament.
UConn looking to score again. They do to add to their lead. It's the largest on the jump hook by Josh Boone. He has 4.
Well, you can't just let guys walk in and shape up like that. You got to fight it for that position.
Yeah, Turin Francis is too strong to let them have position that deep.
And Boone the rebound. He's coming off a 21-point effort Saturday at Rutgers and double-doubles in the 2 games prior to that. Carey the call. And Coach Calhoun did not like it, nor did the sellout crowd here at the Civic Center.
Jimmy's out top of the key frequently, using his success, and why not?
It's good to call that once a year.
You know, I thought he carried early in the game, too, got away with it.
Well, guys carry all the time, but they never call it. That's the thing.
Little side pick and pop. There you go.
Quinn back to Francis. Boone blocked it. He blocks another. He averages 3.2 blocks per game. Connecticut, the leading shot blocking team in the nation.
It's a boondoggle when you go inside for UConn. They really start fast breaks.
Kellogg. And now Rudy Gay off the curl. Missed from the elbow. Thomas the rebound. And he's a good rebounder. 5 per game. Nice move to get free for the jumper.
He really knows how to hide and use his post guy.
A much better rise on that shot than we've seen out of him. He must be really feeling physically good.
Williams strong in the lane. Nelson kept it alive. And it was dropped back into the bucket, I believe, by Williams in that traffic. He has 10 now. Better than his average for the season. Thomas missed a shorty, and the rebound down to Boone. 4 minutes to go in the half. UConn by 10, looking for their 3rd straight win.
Well, Notre Dame doing a pretty good job in transition defense. They haven't allowed a whole lot of layups.
Kellogg allowing Williams to play off the ball for a couple of possessions, and now he has the ball back in his hands. And a 1-4 look from the Huskies with the shot clock under 10.
Good job by Quinn. Stayed in front, caused a problem.
Boy, really a crafty little defender, isn't he?
He's a tough guy.
He's been on fire lately. Quinn double figures in 12 straight games, the longest such streak of his career. He had 17 to lead all scorers in their win at Providence Saturday.
They've hit 14 of his last 18 threes coming into this game. That's hard to do in practice, let alone in games.
Lattimore, strong move to the baseline. Didn't get the bounce. And it wound up in the hands of Gay, the Big East Rookie of the Week for the 4th time this year. Kellogg missed a 3. Gay has it back. And a foul called. Omari Israel called for the personal. Josh Boone, the defense, and Marcus Williams providing the offense. So And Mike Jarvis has seen that well-oiled machine a lot. He and Jim Calhoun had some memorable battles when Mike was at Boston University and Jim was at Northeastern in the city of Boston.
Mike had his fair share of wins, too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Of course, Digger, it's a shame he didn't use all that knowledge when he was on the bench at Notre Dame.
Gay makes the free throw. Well, Digger's point amplified also by the rebounds. You look at the season numbers for Gay, the preseason Rookie of the Year. Might win that award in the postseason as well. In the Big East, with the rebounding right now is 20-10 in favor of the Huskies. After Notre Dame, as we noted, had the edge and play inside in their win by 4 on January 30th in South Bend. Game that went right down the wire.
Sean, they got to make outside shots to help Francis, to keep people away from him. Digger's point's well taken, and they go right to it. They must have heard his observation.
Ed Nelson called for the foul, trying to use that strong body on France as he gets called for his second foul.
The great thing is you have people on the perimeter that can knock down shots. No double comes. Nelson's left unarmed down here. Nice concentration in the finish. He should get it each time down and loosen things up.
If he's unarmed, I want to see somebody who has arms.
He's a little bigger than he was at Georgia Tech, Jay.
Yeah.
Well, Ed Nelson just threw his body into Francis, trying to disrupt and not pick up the foul, keep those hands high, but bump them down low.
There's Nelson, a solid 260 at 6'8".
You guys are just jealous with your body, frail look.
I'm not the person who got asked if he was an out-of-bounds stake on the golf course like you were one time.
Rick Barnes.
And that stiff wind that blew you into the wall today while we were walking over.
Boom. Fouled in the traffic as he tried to get up to the rim. 9-point lead for Connecticut.
You know, you watch a team get better as we have Connecticut, I think, the last couple of weeks. They've got an outside mesh. They run the floor. You mentioned Notre Dame getting back to not let them have fast breaks. They've been wise enough to say, okay, we don't have one, and then run the offense.
And use their secondary break.
3 straight games in double figures for Boone after 6 in a row when he did not reach double digits. Rick Cornett back in. Jordan Cornett goes out. Israel also went out after collecting the foul. Boone using that free throw motion to improve this year from 41% last year to 68% from the line, but that was shades of yesteryear for Boone, that second one.
The plumb bob was off a little bit.
Major improvement, and he's back on track. Jim Calhoun had a chat with Boone. He said, you know, people are kind of wondering, were you just the guy who did well in the shadow of Emeka Okafor, or are you the guy who looked like he could do it on his own at the beginning of the year? We think you're the latter. Why don't you go out and prove it again? And he has started to prove it again.
What a great trip defensively by Charlie Villanueva. He did everything there. Showed, tried to recover, in essence caused the turnover.
Well, when he's active on both ends, he's a heck of a player. Terrific post up here by Gay.
And a shot blocked by Rick Cornett.
Now, one thing you learn when you play for Jim Calhoun is how to work. Look at the hustle show. And now the roll of the goalie sprints and gets the hand up. Just may have gotten the piece for the double tick to go the other way. That is just terrific effort by the big fella. They feel he's working harder every day, and it shows in games.
Denham Brown. And a foul on the rebounding action underneath. And it's against Connecticut. It's on Rudy Gay. Later tonight, Judgment Week presented by Sharp continues at 9 Eastern. Kansas and Oklahoma. And then at midnight, San Diego State and Wyoming. And congratulations in the Mountain West to Utah. Have already wrapped up the regular season
Undefeated
championship.
in the league, right?
And a great job coaching by Ray Giacoletti in his first year there.
You're not a great job dressing. You've commented many times on his lack of sartorial splendor.
Well, the red suit ought to be left to Santa Claus only.
He borrowed that from Bill, who
A little left
had it
over.
from his days at Seton Hall.
The zoot suit.
I had a throwback game and a throwback wardrobe.
Minute 20 to go in the half. 15 to shoot now for the Huskies. Denham Brown left open.
Little ball fake. Everybody runs away. Don't leave the ball.
11 points for Denham Brown. He had 20 the last time these two teams played, his season high. This is the largest lead for Connecticut, and a foul as Thomas was bumped as he started to drive by Marcus Williams, his first.
Both went with the roll guy off the screen. That's just a lack of communication. Turin Francis looking like he was going to jump out. And Chris Quinn, both of them trying to recover to Villanueva, leaves them wide open.
Thomas, the best free throw shooter in Notre Dame history at 86% for his career, has now made 59 of his last 64, included in that stretch 33 in a row at one point.
And Sean, this guy gives it up to 12 more assists or thereabouts. He'll have 800. Only two other guys, right? Gary Payton and Sherman Douglas have been able to
2,000 career points and 800 career assists. Sherman Douglas and Gary Payton, the other two. Jarring check by Villanueva into Thomas as Villanueva set the pick. Kellogg picks it up with 15 to shoot, 40 in the half. Jim Calhoun and Tom Moore off the bench, calling the offensive set. Boone with the shot clock running out. They wound up with Gay, and he drops it in.
Too many guys active.
Boy, that's just a killer to play defense that long and that hard for Notre Dame, and to give up a layup as a result.
Fans on their feet at the Civic Center, appreciating this terrific half by the Huskies. They're shooting 55% for the game against a good defensive team. Cornette, his three was blocked, a fitting conclusion to the half. Marcus Williams, a brilliant first half. The key to that 55% from the floor. Halftime at Hartford, 45-32 in favor of the Huskies. Let's send you back now to the studio. Here's Chris. We're back in Hartford at halftime, and Connecticut leads Notre Dame 45-32 as the Huskies try to earn a split of this regular season series. Notre Dame won the first game with the edge inside. Tonight it's been all Connecticut in the paint, 25-10, the points in the paint.
They've done an outstanding job of getting the ball inside, and they've also put great pressure on Notre Dame right on their season averages in Big East play. 38% field goal defense, 29% from three.
Bill, what do you look for in the second half by way of any adjustments?
I think they've got to get the guards involved a little bit more, obviously, and you would like to see Francis do some damage down in the box area. But when he gets the touch, he's all alone. He's got to beat his guy individually. I think he should be able to do it.
And Notre Dame's going to have to do a better job on the glass. They got badly out-rebounded in that first half, and they settled for threes, but this is a three-point shooting team. Only 4 of 14 in the first half from three for Notre Dame. They're going to have to knock down some shots.
They make more threes than any team in the league. They're second in percentage behind only Pittsburgh, but Connecticut by far the best three-point field goal percentage defense team in the league. The opponent shoots just 29% from three for the year. Thomas for three.
Great activity then. Really sprinted to the corner, made himself available.
That's 12 for Chris Thomas. 2 below his season average. Villanueva, it got deflected out to Williams. His three a miss, but Denham Brown is there unselfishly to Gay, who lost control of the ball as he went for the throwdown dunk. Same five that started the game begins the second half for the Irish. Thomas, Quinn, Falls, Francis, and Cornette. Thomas. Gay ran out on Falls. Francis softly over Boone, and a nice start to the second half for the Irish. 5 unanswered to get within 8.
This Irish team is resilient and has been so all season long.
Williams walked right down the lane again. He got by Chris Thomas, but Cornette there to block the shot.
Well, the old story about jumping to the basketball, the ball goes opposite. You can't get caught up like that. You got to run to the lane. And you can see Marcus Williams paying more attention individual play than helping team-wise, gets caught.
And again, Connecticut scores on an inbounds play. Denham Brown from the corner. He has 13.
UConn does
7 games out of 8 in double figures for Brown.
UConn does a great job with their out-of-bounds plays, and those are well scouted, but that shows how well they've been executed.
Fall shot was blocked inside, and here's Williams on the push. 5 blocks for Connecticut.
Villanueva really did a nice job of running the floor. He's been so much more active in the last few games.
And that's why he got the ball right there, Jay. Set up low, got a little bump, went to the other box.
11 for Villanueva.
And when big guys run the floor, they tend to flatten out the defense, but also you beat your defensive man to the spot and you own it.
Boone did a much better job on Francis on that shape-up.
Cornette bounced to Francis, a couple of fakes, and he's fouled. Well aware of the shot-blocking prowess of Boone and Villanueva, Francis used the fake to earn a trip to the line.
And how about the catch by Francis? But Villanueva off the little block-to-block screen. Boone gives a screen for the screener, but he has been so much more active and so much stronger. Look how he throws his body into the defender. Jordan Cornette, who is an outstanding shot blocker.
Number 2 all-time at Notre Dame with a great chance to pass LaFonso Ellis. Has 6 to go to pass LaFonso Ellis as the all-time shot blocker. LaFonso at 200 in his career.
The junk man does a little bit of everything for this basketball team.
I thought he did a great job in guarding Ryan Gomes in their game against Providence, and that is a very difficult guard, but he guarded him well.
Foul on Josh Boone was his second. Villanueva rebounds the miss. And the decided rebounding edge for Connecticut. They've been out-rebounded only twice all season. They're number 1 in the nation at rebounding margin at +12 per game. Williams, along with a 3, tried to poke it away from Cornette, but did not sneak up on him.
A little 2-3 zone, he got the open look. So does Quinn.
Are you kidding me? How about that?
His first 3 of the night. He has 5 points. Quiet tonight on the tear lately that we spoke of earlier. 12 straight in double figures coming in.
This is where I think Williams is very effective, beating people with the pass against the zone.
Well, they've got to penetrate it off the dribble as well.
Nice look.
Very unselfish passing by Connecticut, but Villanueva couldn't finish. He was rejected after the nifty feed from Boone.
The first time Charlie Villanueva in this game has gone up weak. He tried to jackknife instead of going up and seeking out the contact.
Cornette.
Nice play by Boone.
He denied the pass into Francis. Williams waits for help. Finds it in Gay.
How about the patience of Marcus Williams? Just terrific understanding.
He's like a quarterback. He looked off his first option, Villanueva, and gave it to Rudy Gay, trailing just behind.
That could be a big sequence fueled by the defense of Boone. Notre Dame with a chance to get it down to 6 or even 5 with a 3-point field goal. Instead, it leads to a 10-point lead, and now a charge on Omari Israel. His second foul. Williams to Gay. The lead is 10 for the Huskies in downtown Hartford. The defending national champion UConn Huskies. They won the title, led by Ben Gordon, and the Final Four most outstanding play of Mecca Okafor. Second national championship in the last 6 years for Jim Calhoun and the Huskies of Connecticut, with an eye on defending the title. 17-6, a very strong RPI of 23. Win at Syracuse a couple of big Mondays ago. You have to think they're in. CareerBuilder.com brings you the tournament resumes.
They're beyond in. They're just playing for seed. And
Where? Who and what spot? Guys like this.
Well, they're still thinking Big East championship. Josh Boone, the strong work inside. He has 7 and 8 rebounds. The lead back to 12. 15.5 to go. Colin Falls tripped over the 3-point line.
aptly named. And Colin falls.
Lattimore's back in. Well, his minutes in production have been dwindling lately for Notre Dame. Just 9 minutes in the first half, and he's fouled on that move.
I think Boone got hugging him a little too closely, but he's going to have to provide a lift, giving Francis a blow here, give them some touches. And how about Rudy Gay guarding Falls? I mean, he's really not giving him too many touches, and when he's had to, he's been giving them up.
You know, Gay reminds me kind of a poor man's Carmelo Anthony. He is more athletic, not quite as skilled, although he does have a very good skill set.
Quinn, the runner. Lattimore, the offensive rebound. Boone went to the bench with 3 fouls, so the shot is blocked inside.
Boy, you have to go right into these UConn shot blockers. You cannot afford to try to go over them or give them any space because they are so long and so athletic.
Villanueva with that block has really turned his game around, I think, the last couple of weeks.
Lieutenant Brown called for a charge. He ran over Colin Falls. Well, Jim Calhoun says there is a direct connection between the way Villanueva practices and plays. When he practices hard and well, he tends to play very well. When he doesn't, he doesn't.
Last year, this UConn team, a very good shot blocking team in large measure because of Emeka Okafor, but this year not much has changed. They've actually gotten better blocking shots, but one of the things you worry about with a shot blocking team is they try to rely on shot blocking too much, leave the offensive glass open, leave their feet. But this team has been very solid defensively. They'll force a lot of turnovers, but they force one challenge shot on most possessions.
Why leave him, Charlie?
Well, the little spin by Falls lost the defense, and that's the 4th 3 of the night for Colin Falls. He has 12. They're back within single digits now at 9 points.
This is where he's tough.
And Villanueva fouled. Boy, it's just been so easy for Williams to get into the lane. Notre Dame has to find a way to make that
well,
a
they're
little
in
tougher.
that 2-3 zone, Sean. They got to contain him. You're right, just as though it's man-to-man. But I just love Falls' activity. And Charlie does a nice job showing here. Now he figures that's not my guy. Cornette's my guy. They should have communicated. Some guys don't like to switch. That's a case in point where maybe you should.
Well, those guys are versatile enough where they could have used that as a switch situation. That was just a little screen for the screener play. Falls screens across the lane, then gets a down screen from Jordan Cornette.
Foul was on Quinn, his first. Villanueva made the first free throw. 70% from the line for the year for Charlie. He improves on that percentage. The lead up to 11 for Connecticut, 14 and a half to go.
Well, this UConn team really coming together at the right time, and Jim Calhoun has always been good at bringing a team along to play its best basketball toward the end of the season. Francis needs to get it.
He goes to screen for Thomas. Thomas, wow, ripped right off the rim by Villanueva.
Big time snatch by Charlie.
Crowd wanted Brown to shoot that deep 3.
And look at the mismatch down there with Thomas and Villanueva. Take your pick. They had Brown with Quinn as well.
Just throw it up to him.
That's what Williams does eventually, and he scores. It took him a long time to get it to Villanueva. He has 15.
How about his court awareness? He knew exactly where he was. The little kiss delivery was terrific by CV.
6 assists for Marcus Williams tonight. Thomas called for a carry. Well, the lead is back up to 13, which is right where it was at halftime for Connecticut.
When you help up, and Chris Thomas did so off of Charlie Villanueva, you are going to leave somebody open. The rotation a little slow in coming over, and Francis actually could have picked up a bump foul there.
Williams to Gay with Armstrong, Villanueva, and Brown. Brown strong to the bucket, got his own rebound, stepped around Francis, got it back again, and cannot score. Cornette pulls it off the floor. Thomas lost it.
Nice pass.
And Cornette fouled Villanueva.
This is what a home court's all about, Sean and Jay. Quick hitters, going right at the teeth of the defense.
And some sloppy play as a result by Notre Dame as Jordan Cornette, the 2-time Irish captain, animated with his teammates, and as Rashad Anderson applauding from the bench. Villanueva, 15 points and now 16 to go with 3 boards.
A little too easy to make that post feed. Not only the post defense by Cornette a little late in getting there, but Chris Thomas needs to put a little better pressure on the ball and take away vision. That's too easy of a post feed.
Thomas goes out now. 5 out of 6 from the line tonight for Villanueva. And this is the largest lead for Connecticut.
Is Chris Thomas getting his customary 1 minute rest every 4 games?
They can't play without him.
The guy never comes out of a game.
Leads the world in minutes.
He's played 93% of all the possible minutes in his career at Notre Dame. Tonight, the 123rd straight start, adding to his Notre Dame record. Win the runners. And Mike Bray said really the measure of a point guard, a player like Chris Thomas, is does your team win? And they're 81 and 41 in his career with Chris as the starting point guard.
And he has changed his game totally to help this team the last month, I think. Look at this guy taking over. Cerebral. He and Williams, that point guard mentality.
Well, the question is always with Villanueva, why can't he give you that every night? And he's at least starting to do it more consistently now for the Huskies. Francis. And they're going to count the basket as well. There was a foul and then a goaltend. And Francis will shoot the free throw after timeout. Charlie Villanueva, one of the hottest players in the country right now. And tonight's Big East Big Monday offering presented by Bud Light. It's Connecticut by 13 over Notre Dame. Big Monday continues at 9 Eastern. Kansas trying to avoid losing 3 in a row in conference for the first time since 1994. They have a tough task tonight. They're at Oklahoma. And then at midnight Eastern, Marcus Slaughter and the San Diego State Aztecs take on Jay Strait and the Wyoming Cowboys. Judgment Week presented by Sharp. And those 2 straight losses for Kansas dropped them into a tie for the Big 12 lead with Oklahoma State.
And depending upon how Texas is treated by the committee and evaluated, you could be looking at 6 teams out of that Big 12. How about Drew Lavender's play against Kansas State? 29 points and an amazing finish. Got all the way to the rim in under 4 seconds.
He's got some speed. He also fine people as well. Thomas still on the bench, by the way, fellas, as you noticed.
Rebound by Omari Israel. Israel Quinn, Jordan Cornette, Francis, and Falls for the Irish. For the Huskies, it's Brown, Williams, Kellogg, Armstrong, and Nelson. And a 3 for Falls, 15 points on 5 3 balls.
Too casual on the defense by Kellogg.
Absolutely disappeared.
Need a sense of urgency. You got to make Colin Falls put the ball on the floor. If he beats you to the rim, that's fine. It's only 2 points.
Now, they talked about it today. Force him to put it on the deck.
He has only 7 two-point field goals all year. That's a long 2 for Denham Brown. 15 for Brown off the 18 against Rutgers Saturday, and a double-double, 14 and 10 at Providence in the middle of last week.
Well, maybe Kellogg knew that Brown could bail him out anytime he felt like it.
Tell you, he is playing his best basketball. Catch and shoot, get squared.
Tough shot by Israel with Brown defending well. Nelson the rebound.
Needed to get it back into the post after he passed it out.
Transition D's been great by ND, though. Very consistent all game. Nelson with Quinn. Rebounding the key here. Quinn's going to have to nail him.
Thomas at the scorer's table getting ready to come back in, as is Villanueva. Shot clock at 6. Williams. Hilton Armstrong the rebound.
Great effort, huh?
And he's got great feet. Hilton Armstrong, just a junior, and really starting to come on.
He went 15 feet for that one.
And Jim Calhoun challenges inside players to not let what happened at South Bend happen this time. And they have certainly dominated inside tonight. The held ball, the ball to Connecticut with 20 to shoot. Here are the numbers we spoke of earlier on Thomas. This is the 10th year in the Big East for Notre Dame in basketball. And Chris Thomas is the only player for the Irish who has ever been on the Big East all-tournament team. They're 3-9 in their history in the Big East tournament. So they're going to try to right that in a couple of weeks at the Garden. And Nelson scores inside.
That's why he hit the weight room. He just powered to the 10.
You know, you look at those minutes played by Chris Thomas and you wonder, Mike Bray might be the only coach in America that gets a call from parents about playing time, and they're saying, would you mind giving my son a rest once in a while?
You think his dad called? Frank wouldn't do that. Yeah, he wants to play. Well, he's done a great job with these people on the perimeter, too.
Bang.
Israel, a push off, very obvious. He shoved Villanueva right in the middle of the back, and that's 3 fouls on Omari Israel, the sophomore from Rockville, Maryland.
And Sean, the reason I say Mike's done a good job with these guys on the perimeter, he knows how to get them free, keeps them active. They don't rush shots. They try and control tempo, and it's made them better.
Only Austin Carr and Adrian Dantley have scored more points. Two pretty fair players. We had Notre Dame, then Chris Thomas. Adrian Dantley, one of the 16 finalists, along with Jim Calhoun, for induction into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Those who will be inducted will be announced in early April. Villanueva scores again. He has 21. Third time in the last 4 games he's had 21 or more. Falls for 3.
That's just a little brush screen, and they're not getting over the top. Jim is really livid talking to Gay on that particular play.
6 threes for Colin Falls. The Irish back within 12.
Week in the judgment on Rudy Gay, you only have to fall asleep for a second in transition defense, but Colin Falls gets the little screen by Jordan Cornette, and because Rudy Gay was not alert defensively, got caught up on that screen, you only need to leave a sliver of daylight for Colin Falls, and they've left 6 slivers for him, and he's knocked each one of them down.
And the junkyard dog there just keeps on contributing any way he can. Jordan Cornette with a nice bump.
Senior from Cincinnati. Foul called away from the ball.
Yeah, Jordan Cornette grabbing onto the jersey of Charlie Villanueva.
Two fouls on Jordan.
Charlie will make you do that. Keeps himself active, gets available.
And Nelson gets a nice hand as he goes out. Josh Boone back in with his 3 fouls. Williams to inbound with Kellogg, Boone, Villanueva, and Brown. Villanueva on fire. He has 23.
They are getting killed on out-of-bounds plays. That was about as easy as it gets, getting into a little high-low set.
Is that the 5th or 6th on an out-of-bounds? Close.
Right up there.
8 for 12 from the floor for Villanueva. He blocks the shot of Francis. 4-on-2 break. Williams nearly got stuck in the air without an option. Found Kellogg in the corner. 4 blocked shots now for Villanueva. And up by 14. They'll run some offense.
The double stack low. Devin Brown gets to make the choice whether to come off the single or the double.
Choice Bill makes frequently, and there's a long shot by Denham. Brown has 17.
His release is quick. I prefer the double myself. Terrific catch and shoot.
You can see the talent of Denham Brown. And sometimes all a kid needs is an opportunity and to be needed, and he is needed now in responding.
Quinn called for the discard with the free arm. An offensive foul on fine defense by Marcus Williams. Williams is a double-double tonight, 10 points and 11 assists. Jim Calhoun and Jim Boeheim among the finalists for the Basketball Hall of Fame. We'll talk about that when we come back to Hartford. In downtown Hartford, it's a 16-point lead for the UConn Huskies. We're about 30 miles away from the beautiful Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts. Recently renovated and expanded, and it is tremendous. If you haven't been there, it is a great family destination. 16 finalists just announced over the weekend, and I mean, how do you choose from this field? Here are the first 8. Certainly some great players and coaches. We'll give you the other 8 and time permits. I think it's hard. I mean, how do you choose between Jim Calhoun and Jim Boeheim? They have almost the exact same number of wins. They're separated by 1. 698 for Boeheim, 697 for Calhoun. Calhoun has 2 national championships. Boeheim 1. But Boeheim's been to 3 Final Fours. Calhoun 2.
Maybe you don't have to choose.
Maybe they both go.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you could put one in without the other. I mean, their resumes are so similar.
Well, there's no maybe about it. They both get in.
A fresh Chris Thomas. Some legs on that shot, so maybe the rest help.
But is it too late? Down by 14 with 7 minutes to go. Villanueva scores again. 25, and another assist for Williams is 12.
I think the Irish are hoping that Marcus Williams could take a rest.
It's amazing how quickly they can score, Jay. Got to get your defense set, come up for some stops as Quinn gets to the 10.
Well, earlier in the year, we had some Connecticut games. They talk here in Hartford, and Stores was well. They have the terrific inside line, all that size, but the guard play just doesn't hold up its end of the bargain. Well, that's not the case anymore.
How maligned was Marcus Williams, and they're all biting their tongues now, locally and nationally. This is a guy who finds people, directs the show. Great extension from Jim Calhoun.
How much better would this team be with Rashad Anderson healthy?
Thomas goes to the left to lay it in, and give the Irish credit. Every time it looks like they might absorb the knockout punch from the Huskies, they sneak back closer.
A little surprising that Josh Boone didn't really go after that shot.
Williams, the pull-up. Way off, but there's Villanueva for the offensive rebound. A held ball. Notre Dame will play it in.
And that's what Thomas does. He got involved in that jump.
Here's the rest of the potential class of 2005. Of course, it's an honor just to be among the finalists. Sue Gunter, the longtime coach at LSU. Nice tribute to Dominique Wilkins in the dunk contest over the weekend.
Of course, Johnny Kerr, I remember. I know you don't. I'm afraid to mention anybody in the history of the game around you. Johnny's my idol. The Iron Man never missed games. Randy Smith finally beat him.
Rick Cornett bumped by Villanueva, who has scored a career-high 25 points tonight.
And that is one thing that UConn does not want to do, and that is foul. Why stop the clock and let Notre Dame score some points without time coming off? Because there is still plenty of time left. And we're looking at a 12-point game now, and the way Notre Dame can shoot threes, they are very much in this.
They have an air of confidence, this team, even if they give up a lead. But the key thing, I think, is stopping people, Notre Dame. Now, you can score, but come back here. Connecticut getting it easily.
Cornett made the first. He's just a 34% free throw shooter. This year, 58% for his career. Villanueva's foul, only his second. And 2 for 2 for Rick Cornett. Mike Brace charges within 10 and a long way to go. 5:40 remaining.
He gives them confidence and trust.
What Notre Dame wants to do is chip away at this, then put a little game pressure on this UConn team. They've been playing with house money for a little while, and when their shots matter, maybe it would be a little bit different for Notre Dame.
There's a pin down series.
Tough shot by Denham Brown, and it pops out. Goes down and then came out to Omari Israel.
They didn't run any clock. Now, that shot was going to be there later on in the clock.
Thomas, very tough shot. They really didn't need that with a little bit of momentum on their side. They get it back. Israel turns it over.
Boy, he had Chris Quinn wide open for a three.
A block by Cornett of Williams, and then Rick Cornett hit Williams hard. That's a couple of sequences here in the second half when it looked like Notre Dame had momentum where they had dreadful possessions.
Well, you know, he got fouled on that, by the way, Chris Thomas. He got scraped. It wasn't a good look, but he did get scraped. Then they turn it over with him wide open in the corner. Israel, all he had to do was pass it. Well, they got a wide open look.
He was Thomas was wide open in the corner, but Chris Quinn was wide open right in front of the Notre Dame bench.
Marcus Williams. Short with the free throw. He's 68% for the year.
I mean, Chris Quinn is wide open there for a three-point shot and just within the vision of Omari Israel, but he took it deep into the lane and deep into trouble and turned it over as a result.
Israel's had a lot of playing time tonight, and that's a rarity. He played 4 minutes at Providence Saturday and did not play at all in the 6 games prior to that. And he's seen some important minutes here tonight.
But, Sean, I think that's part of it. Saturday, Monday. A long road trip, 4 days. Not for young people.
Marcus Williams goes out with the lead 11. 5 minutes to go. Falls the leading scorer tonight for the Irish. Strong drive by Quinn. He missed the layup. Rebound Villanueva. Kellogg directs the offense now. Right in front of Jim Calhoun. It's like the coach had a string attached to him. He jammed on the break.
Slow down. And Villanueva, what an influence on the other end.
The screen, the baseline double.
Nice look here. Pretty. Kellogg taking the page out of Williams' book. Slip to the goal.
Boone the dunk. He has 9. Falls. He got fouled for the 12th time this year while shooting a 3. Falls is fouled. And he's made 31 of the 33 free throws the first 11 times he was hit while shooting 3.
Yeah, how often do we see this? It's usually Williams finding him, but they screen, you help out or hedge, slip to the goal, and boom, with the strong, send it in.
And no matter how you sliced it there was going to be a mismatch on Josh Boone, whether it was Colin Falls switching off on him or Chris Thomas. Boy,
how much should you bet on all 3 of these being made?
Oh, it's like an intentional walk. You know, if it goes to the backstop, you're shocked.
Oh!
And the runners advance.
Hate us right now. Hate me more than you guys, but usually it's the other way around, so it evens out.
Sean, how about the people here realize how good a free throw shooter he is?
Even they showed their astonishment. 95% for the year. And in Big East play, 96%. He was 46 of 48 for the year in Big East play.
He's going to have to run laps after that one. Bray will clamp down on him.
Sean McDonough, Jay Billis, Bill Raftery. Wow. He had missed 2 all year in the conference in 48 free throws. He missed 2 out of 3 there.
Once again, the bigs running the floor. Boone, very heady play, kicking it out.
41-23 rebounding edge for Connecticut. The lead 12. They've been in command for much of this game, led by 13 at the half. Williams back in with under 4 to go. Strong drive right past Israel.
Just a tough match. The blow-by.
Timeout, Notre Dame. Well, for most of this year, it seemed like Rudy Gay would be a foregone conclusion. He'd be the rookie of the year, and I think he still will be. But you wonder if Marcus Williams is making a late run at most improved player in the league.
How deceptive is he? He just gets by people. He doesn't look like he's got blow-by speed, but he gets to the 10.
Judgment Week presented by Sharp, Purdue and Indiana. That's tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on ESPN. On ESPN2, available in HD at 8 Eastern Time, Texas and Texas Tech. Contact your cable operator, DirecTV or the Dish Network for ESPN2 HD and more information.
How about Texas Tech, Jay? I mean, what a early in the year struggle just a little bit, running that motion. Different people stepping up at different times. Ross, Jackson.
A little more athletic. They force turnovers, and they're driving the ball more than they have been.
Whistle away from the ball. And we'll tell you about the foul when we come back. 3.5 to go in Hartford. We're back at the Hartford Civic Center, where the 19th ranked Connecticut Huskies lead Notre Dame by 14. Notre Dame's 7 losses this year have been by a combined 32 points, so it's rare to see them down by double digits. Let's check game track. Brought to you by Domino's. Marcus Williams, a big part of the story with his 13 and 12 assists. And the points in the paint almost exactly the opposite from Notre Dame's win in South Bend over Connecticut in late January. It was 38-20 for Notre Dame in the paint that time. Turin Francis after a foul on Villanueva, which was Charlie's 3rd.
Charlie's biggest dilemma, I think, is where to play on the floor. That's how talented he is. Multi-positional, great handle.
2 free throws by Francis. They're down by 12 with 3.5 to go. The Irish bring pressure. And the Huskies get it to the right guy, Williams. Guarded by Thomas.
Unless something really good shows early, use the clock.
Now with about 14 left, get into a set.
There's their box set with that diagonal to get Charlie to the block.
Kellogg for three. Could that have been any better? They ran the clock all the way down. And then Kellogg, just a 25% three-point shooter for the year, buried the three.
And how about the read of the double? Calmly throwing it out to the open shooter.
Well, that's what makes Villanueva so tough. Makes good judgments.
Quinn responds, and a timeout Notre Dame. Kellogg was 3 for his last 26 from three-point range before he made that three with the shot clock running out. He's been strong off the bench with 7 points, but the night has belonged to Villanueva and Williams.
Villanueva has been playing great basketball of late, and it has continued tonight. Very strong, not only offensively, but defensively, using his athleticism, the hands ready. That would have taken his head off there if he hadn't caught that.
Judgment Weeks presented by Sharp. Sharp also brings you the player of the game tonight. And the committee inside the truck has convened. I think there could be some dissent. They've chosen Villanueva. It's hard to argue that. Career high 25 points. But doesn't it seem like Marcus Williams kind of the engine who makes it all go, to dig into our bag of cliches late in the game?
You know, you little guys always trying to snatch everything away from the big guys. You know, it's always about the guards, isn't it?
I wish you guys would try to snatch the check away every now and then. We're running out of big Mondays here, guys, for you two, the Cal Ripkins of non-payment, to step up to the plate.
I normally don't agree with you, but I believe Marcus is the reason that this team is better and has a chance to go deep into the tournament.
So if you don't agree with the Sharp player of the game, send your mail to Bo Garrett, our producer, John McDonough, our director here at ESPN. What do you look for, guys? 2.5 to go, 12-point game.
A lot of Notre Dame threes. They're going to have to bang some threes down to get back in this, but they also need some stops. And defensively, you give all the credit to Marcus Williams and the job that he has done, and Connecticut's big guys, but Notre Dame can't be happy with their effort defensively or their effort on the glass.
And trying to turn it over is going to be tough, particularly for this guy and Villanueva. Make good judgments on both ends of the floor.
And you can't rely on having to foul UConn anymore because they are a much better free throw shooting team.
Williams just about a one-man press breaker. Connecticut in just about a must-win situation, have any chance at the Big East title. They're the only team within 2 games. And would you guys agree that all the teams that have 4 losses in the league are probably out of it? I mean, BC has 1 loss. They have 4 games to go.
BC showed you something on Saturday, I think.
Day of steal. And now they'll look to kill the clock. Up by 12 under 2 minutes to go. Quinn looked like he was trying to foul. Brown spun back into Quinn and gave him the steal opportunity. Held ball. It goes over to Connecticut off the arrow. 4 games left for Boston College and 3 after tonight for Connecticut. I would think all those 4-loss teams are. 5-loss teams are done. BC's not going to lose 3 out of 4 in all likelihood. We'll show you their remaining schedule in a moment. They do have a couple of tough games, and Jim Calhoun told his team, let's win 4. There's a chance BC could lose 2, and they could share the crown. Of course, BC did win head-to-head against Connecticut here in Hartford. Brown fouled. Of course, one of the things that is nice on Notre Dame's resume is they have the only victory against Boston College this year. Here's the remaining schedule for Connecticut. At Pitt will be very tough. Rutgers, Syracuse. Yeah, that's not correct, because they've already played Rutgers twice, including over the weekend. We'll get the correct schedule up there for you. It's Georgetown and not Rutgers. They're at Pittsburgh. They have Georgetown here and Syracuse.
I think they'd settle for another shot at Rutgers, given how badly they beat them at the rack.
Well, you know, you get into the Big East tournament, no matter who finishes where, the winner will probably get a higher seed. Will get a higher seed, I would suggest.
Well, the one thing you have to have at the Big East tournament is a bye in that first round. If you have to play 4 games, it is next to impossible to win the Big East championship.
I don't think anybody's ever done it, have they? If I'm not mistaken.
18 points now for Denham Brown. Thomas. The tip in by Lattimore.
Well, there's that change. They didn't get the block. That's what keeps people at 37% when you play UConn.
So obviously it's going to be hard for Connecticut to win all four. At Pittsburgh will be very tough. Georgetown much improved this year. Syracuse, of course, one of the best in the country. They need BC to lose at least 2 out of the 4 to the Huskies to have any shot. And at Villanova on ESPN2 Wednesday night. Seton Hall in Chestnut Hill. Pittsburgh, our big Monday game next week.
And there are those that would argue that Boston College has had a bit of an easier road schedule-wise because they don't have to play the big shots twice.
I don't think there's any question about that. They have had an easier schedule than most of the contending teams in the Big East because you don't play everybody twice. You only play a handful of teams twice. And for the most part, it's been Connecticut, Notre Dame, Syracuse, and Pittsburgh playing each other twice.
They've played the schedule, and
no, there's no doubt about that, Bill. But you know, we can argue this every Monday night. You know, would it have been harder for them to have to play those teams we mentioned twice, or to play the teams they played twice?
And let's be honest about it. There are quite a few coaches within the league that are saying, "Hey, thank you, Big East office, for handing Boston College a very good opportunity to take the championship with them to the ACC.
Yeah, and they want to know why you're doing BC favors when they're on their way out of the league.
That's the integrity of the office, quite possibly.
I think that's right.
And it was
what
predicated on TV.
Is, you know, they took the top 4 teams in the preseason poll, basically, and had them play each other. It looked like they tried to take the next grouping and have them play each other twice. Francis makes the free throw.
But Notre Dame being one of those top 4 teams, the same thing happened to Notre Dame last year, where coming down to the end of the season, they had to play the big shots all twice, home and away. Now, you can look at that and say, hey, it's opportunities for more quality wins. But at the same time, does the committee punish you for a loss to a really good team? And I think the answer sometimes, unfortunately, is yes. And it shouldn't be. The committee has said through spokesman that there is such a thing as a quality loss. And if that is true, Notre Dame has had a lot of quality losses this year.
BC's repeat games, by the way, within the league are Providence, Villanova, Seton Hall, and Rutgers. Those who are curious. Williams adds to his terrific night. That having been said, I agree, Bill, with your general point, which is, to me, you know, BC's now getting the credit in the rankings. They're number 3 this week, which is their highest ever. 1 rebound away from a triple-double from Marcus Williams. The certainly could have been the sharp player of the game.
If we voted.
Garrett points out it was his choice.
Well, why should Bo ask us?
Sure, why not? We're not close enough to the action.
But don't you get the sense, fellas, that even as they win game after game after game, there are still people who just don't think Boston College is that good?
Well, but I think people respect Boston College. I'm certainly one of them, but I do think that they could easily have 4 or 5 losses. They'd be the same team, but they have done an extraordinary job, as has this UConn team tonight, against a really solid Notre Dame team.
He's done some job, huh? The blow-by! The little left and the look back in disdain.
Well, you ever shot Anderson back by the end of the regular season. Jim Calhoun said realistically probably the last game of the regular season, the game against Syracuse. They'll have to ease him back into working out, get his strength back after losing the 20 pounds. Williams goes out, 1 rebound shy of the triple-double. And he leaves to a well-earned standing ovation, and they'll stay on their feet and cheer for Villanueva, who's right behind him.
Have you heard Jim Calhoun give raves like he did about Marcus Williams today? Just pointing out.
Very rarely.
Just so impressed with his contributions, his turnaround. He's got this team in his hands. Nice feed.
Quinn to Lattimore for the dunk. The largest defeat of the year for Notre Dame was 11 against DePaul. And that will be surpassed here tonight. Connecticut continues on a roll. They've won 3 in a row. And 6 of 7. The only loss to North Carolina in a spirited battle here at the Civic Center. 450th win at Connecticut for Jim Calhoun, and career victory number 698. Once again, the final score, UConn 88, Notre Dame 74. Coming up next, number 7, Kansas. At number 23, Oklahoma. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Now for Bill Raftery, Jay Billis, and our entire crew, Sean McDonough saying good night from Hartford. Here's Chris Fowler.
UConn fans well aware how tough it is to win down there in Norman. The Huskies were beaten earlier this season. We'll talk about that game in just a second. But first, UConn just did against Rutgers. They felt Rutgers after the first meeting kind of talked a little noise, and they felt the Irish did the same thing, and Villanueva and company got the payback they wanted, Digger.
Well, Villanueva in the last 2 games before tonight ends up with, what, 43 points, 21 rebounds in 2 games. So he set the pace inside. They beat Notre Dame up on the boards in the first half, 25-12. They beat them up with points in the paint because in South Bend, UConn got embarrassed in the paint, 38-20. And tonight, Mike, it was just a different game with the intensity of what the front line did to Notre Dame's front line, and Villanueva led the charge.
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, payback was in effect, but also, like I said earlier, you're seeing the emergence of a really, really solid, cohesive Connecticut offense. They are really going inside. They're not only beating the inside on defense, but now they're starting to really pound away on offense, and they're becoming more and more dangerous every day.
And I think that happened to Marcus Williams when they lost the Pitt game at home. Then Marcus, I think, takes over this team, and he has double figures assists tonight. And he's been the leader of getting a charge for them to become more of an offensive threat because of the way he can dish the ball.
Guys talked about Calhoun getting win number 698. That puts him in a tie with Jim Boeheim. They're going to play in a few games now, see which guy can get to 700 first. Let's go back to Jay Billis now in Hartford.
Thanks, Chris. And Jim Calhoun, a marvelous performance by your team, not only the inside guys, but your guards as well. What were you most pleased with?
I just think the overall game, we had composure. We took away their inside game, I think, effectively without having to big double, which we planned to do initially. And then we just really challenged our big people. And I think we seem to starting to get a feel. Denham's getting a great feel. Charlie that's his 4th game in a row, over 20, and he's really coming to his own, and more people are going to start seeing more of Charlie, hopefully, as we get the rest of the season into postseason play. But I would say when I walk away, Jay, this is a really solid performance by us on both ends of the floor.
Throughout your coaching career, you've always had your teams play best when you get to March. Is this another example of that?
Well, I think we're starting to get to know each other a lot better, and I think the fact that Marcus is making a lot of guys' jobs easier and making them, you know, have the points on the board, it makes us a much better basketball team. And he really is starting to defend. That's the thing people don't see. Tonight he had Chris Thomas, one of the best players in the country, and he did a great job on him.
Well, Jim, congratulations. Let's get your point guard in here, Marcus Williams. Marcus, another outstanding performance. You just seem to be getting better and better as the season goes along, and your coaches have said they've been on you hard. Do you think that's made you better, the fact that they've not let you get away with any mistakes?
Yeah. Early in the season, I was making a lot of mistakes, and they were on me hard, and I mean, I think it's starting to pay off now.
Well, 1 rebound away from a triple-double, son. When are you going to start hitting the glass? Congrats.
Probably my first game over 5.
Well, congratulations on a great game. Let's get Charlie Villanueva in here. Charlie, you know, your coach said 4 games in a row you've played nothing but your best basketball. And what's been the difference in your resurgence?
I think after the North Carolina game, I only scored 2 points. And I refuse to let that happen again. You know, and I'm just more hungry. Just playing great defense, and everything's coming along.
You know, you've been through the national championship run. Can you feel this team coming together at the right time as you head toward the tournament?
One thing about us is that when it's February, March, we come ready to play. And we definitely be good contenders, and we're going to repeat. We're going to repeat.
Well, you certainly made believers out of us courtside watching you. Chris Fowler, back to you.
All right, Jay.